Wow, seriously? That's incredible. Boom! Boom! Cześć ludzie! What's up people? Hola! VIGO'S here. Welcome to another episode. I have to admit that prior to my research for this video, I did not know as much about this topic as I would have wanted to. Of course, I had some, general history knowledge, but I wanted to go a little deeper. As you can see by the title, we're talking about communism. I found this article online, and the title of the article is 10 mind-boggling oddities of Poland under the communistic regime. I immediately thought, oh, that would be a great topic for a video, to react to these facts, because I've heard many things. And the reason also why I am not so knowledgeable about this, in part, is because I come from a country, the Dominican Republic, that doesn't have historical links to communism. That doesn't mean that Latin America doesn't have historical links to communism, because it does, actually, many. But I'm going to talk about this further in this video. But the Dominican Republic specifically, not only we didn't have any communistic influences, but it was the opposite. Our leaders didn't want anything to do with it. So this topic has become of interest to me after I developed a connection with Poland. When you walk through the streets of the different cities in this country, you can see the influence of communism. Because of that, I really, like I said, want to go deeper into this. I want to do my own research. I want to put myself through school when it comes to this, okay? But for now, let's start with this video. Let's go. Or if you are from any country that has a history of communism, by all means, please don't feel that I'm teaching you anything. You for sure can teach me many things in the comment below. Please don't hold back. Whatever you want to write, let me know. The more I can soak in, the better. But there are people like me, maybe other Latino viewers, maybe other people that don't come from history of communism, that might want to have a little revision of some of these terms, just like me. So that's why I'm kind of like going to school, all of us together, okay? So what is communism? It's a political and economic doctrine that aims to replace private property in a profit-based economy with public ownership and communal control of at least major means of production. For example, mines, mills, factories, and the natural resources of a society. Thus, communism is a form of socialism. Now, when I think of communism, I immediately wonder who created it. And there are two people who are considered the fathers of communism: Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, who in the mid-19th century, I believe it was 1848, developed a short pamphlet called the Communist Manifesto. It was later recognized as one of the world's most influential political documents. But we cannot talk about communism if we also don't talk about socialism. Socialism is a social and economic doctrine that calls for public rather than private ownership or control of property and natural resources. According to the socialist view, individuals don't live in isolation. They live in cooperation with one another. Everything that people produce is in some sense a social product, and everyone who contributes to the production of a good is entitled to a share in it. Society as a whole, therefore, should own or at least control property for the benefit of all its members. So now we know what is the concept of communism, and we know the concept of socialism. But what is the difference? Communism calls for the switch of power to the working class by means of revolutionary ways, right? Instead of a gradual manner. Socialism allows for the continued existence of capitalism in some parts of the economy. And just as we cannot talk about communism without mentioning socialism, I think we cannot talk about communism and socialism without talking about fascism. Fascism is a form of far-right, authoritarian ultranationalism that is characterized by dictatorial power. So basically forcible suppression of opposition and strong regimentation of society. Fascists believe that liberal democracy is obsolete. And finally, to finish the circle, we must talk about capitalism if we're talking about communism, socialism, and fascism. Capitalism is an economic system in which private individuals or businesses own capital goods. The production of goods and services is based on supply and demand. You have a demand, you have a supply, and this, especially the demand, will dictate the value of a service, or it will dictate the value of a good. And without getting too technical, because believe me, I had to read this a couple of times, there is a theory called the labor theory of value, also known as surplus value by Karl Marx, that suggested that the value of a commodity was determined by the average number of labor hours necessary to produce it. So basically, if you're working on a painting, and let's say you work on this painting for 20 years, and I don't know how many thousands and hundreds of thousands of hours, then this is obviously very valuable because you work really hard on it. Let's talk a little bit about communism in Latin America. For much of its history, Latin America has been the subject of imperialism. First by European powers such as France, Spain, Portugal, and later on by the United States of America. Many people in Latin America that have communistic or Marxist viewpoints believe that the United States relationship with Latin America is that of exploitation. You know, they come and they exploit the Latin American resources. You can say that that is partly true, but at the same time, you can also say that Latin American countries have benefited from having a relationship with the United States of America. What is interesting to note here is that based on failed examples, free movement and free trade seems to be the economic model that best assures development and growth and wealth and opportunity. Some of these failed examples are Cuba, whose communistic party was formed in 1925 and generally followed Joseph Stalin's wishes. The Cuban leader Fidel Castro had very strong Marxist and even fascist influences. Sadly, and these are real numbers here, if you take Cuba's income per capita, which in the years prior to the revolution was among the highest in Latin America, and you compare it to, let's say, 2021, using the Economic Freedom Index, it ranks second to last in the region, in the Latin American region. Oh, and you know who has the last spot? Venezuela. Another failed example whose leader, Hugo Chavez, rose to power after he was pardoned from being in prison by leading a coup d'etat in 1992. Chavez ran the Venezuelan state like a dictatorship, using the principles of communism and Marxism, and, you know, is for the most part responsible for the situation in Venezuela in current times. Before I move on to my reaction of the article, I want to mention some pros and cons of communism. Now, I want to put a very big disclaimer right here, right now. I just found certain, let's say, theoretical pros and some theoretical cons, and I would just want to present them here. And please tell me in the comment, not only if you agree or not, just tell me from your perspective, what do you think of this pros and cons, okay? But remember, this is not my opinion. Okay, so the pros. Number 1, food supply should be assured. Number 2, enhancement of the education infrastructure. Number 3, lower unemployment rates. Number 4, improved overall safety level in the country. Number 5, avoidance of corporate monopolies. Number 6, absence of class may reduce the problem of discrimination of minorities. Number 7, everyone gets similar chances to succeed in life. And number 8, the gap between the poor and the rich is drastically reduced. The cons are: Number 1, government money may be spent in an inefficient manner. Number 2, it deters international investors. Number 3, difficulty accumulating any wealth. Number 4, less incentives to work hard. Number 5, it gives way to grudges between individuals. And this means that the hardworking people get the same as the non-hardworking people, therefore building grudges. Number 6 is freedom of speech is confined. Number 7, overall level of freedom is confined. And number 8, it leads to a narrower view of the world. So once again, let me know in the comments what you think about these pros and cons. Go crazy at it, please. Let us know. I'm gonna read some of this mind-boggling oddities of Poland under the communistic regime. And I'm gonna put a link to this article in the description below. Number 1, it says, you could hire someone to stand in line for you. Yes, I heard about this one. My father-in-law told me that he was, I think he was soliciting visa to go to the US, and he stood in line for, I think he was a day, 2 days, something like that. There were people holding the line for him. To me, that was like, what? Most products were subject to a rationing system, which made some products available only to the bearer of special cards. So basically, you had a special card or something. Was it? What was it? What did it say? Was it based on color? Was it based on days of the week? Was it based on job positions? People would frequently queue for hours and days to get a washing machine or a pram. Number 2, there was 0% unemployment, but a lot of workers with nothing to do. So it means that everyone had a job. I mean, in theory, sounds amazing for the society, right? The Polish United Workers' Party put enormous effort into maintaining 100% employment, even if it was completely inefficient. This is why workers would have nothing to do at work for weeks and would instead just pretend they were working. You just go to work to do nothing. You might as well just stay home. Number 3, attending parades was mandatory. Well, have we seen the images of North Korea? The most important part of the yearly celebration was the huge parade that aimed at presenting support for the Polish United Workers' Party and for communism, as well as the overall happiness and motivation to work. The motivation to go to work and do nothing. Number 4, there were inferior quality substitute goods for everything. You know, I remember that my wife told me that there was like a Soviet counterpart to the Nintendo. What was the name? The name was, I think she said, let me ask her. Hey babe, what was the name of the Soviet Nintendo? Pegasus. Yeah, Pegasus. So think about that. The Soviet Union created, let's say, a Soviet counterpart to many American things or Japanese things. Number 5, Dachshund or sausage dogs were crazily popular. What? What is that about? This noble breed of dog was by far the most popular of 1980s communist Poland. Really? You see, this must be one of those byproducts of communism where people just literally run the other direction, because I have never seen a Dachshund in Poland. Yeah, there you go. It says surprisingly, Dachshunds are almost absent on the streets of present-day Poland. There you go. Number 6, there was a normal petrol and a commercial petrol. Every driver had a yearly allocation of several liters that they were entitled to buy. So after running out of this limit, their cars would become useless for the rest of the year. Wow, seriously? That's incredible. So basically your car was just good for nothing if you run out of your limit. So from July of 1988, every Polish citizen could buy some komercyjna petrol, which was much more expensive than normal, even though it was exactly the same type of quality of petrol. God damn it, man. Number 7, there was hardly anything to watch on the telly. Yeah, that one makes sense. You know, state-owned. They will show you what they want you to see, right? Number 8, there were vending machines with glasses attached. What? There were vending machines? Oh, ooh. Ew. So a line of people would just use the same glass? No wonder it made it into the history with the nickname Gruźliczanka, which can be translated to tuberculosis lady. You needed to wait 20 years to have a phone installed. 20 years! Who do they think you're calling? The deficit of private phone was not only a result of poor infrastructure, it was also very lowly prioritized by the communistic powers. Fewer phones meant fewer conversations to control and less conspiracy and trouble. Everything was about power and control of the people, right? And number 10, there was only one shop selling foreign goods, and it did not accept local currency. Pepex was introduced in 1970s to help the country's foreign currency deficit and offered most goods unavailable elsewhere, such as toilet paper, jeans, and electronics. So hold on. So if toilet paper was not available, so what? People were using newspapers? What is going on? The exchange ratio was outrageous, and possession of foreign currency in cash was forbidden. It had to be exchanged for bank checks. Pepex had no competition, and so became one of Poland's most beloved shops until the fall of communism. So the author of this article was Wojciech Oleksiak, written in 2015. Boom! That's all, guys. That's the end of the episode. I hope you liked it. It was extremely educational for me. Poland has come a long way since the times of communism, but obviously there are still things that are like, they have merged with the DNA of the country, and I for sure want to get to the bottom of this as much as I can. This is very complex. Hopefully in the future I can cover more topics related to communism. If you have any ideas of videos that I can make, please let me know. Thank you very much. I hope I covered this in the most respectful of ways and in the most neutral of ways. And once again, thank you for watching. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.